Being with an avoidant is very unpredictable because you don't know what you're going to get one day to the next. They could text you back all day, or they could suddenly leave you on red for a week. And it's really confusing. It's one of the most destabilizing situations to be in because they can be so unpredictable. But I've noticed something very predictable about avoidance. From working with thousands of people in this dynamic, I've seen avoidance come back time and time again in these two cases. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to tell you what these two situations are where they predictably come back. This is not a fortune telling video, so I can't say 100% guarantee this is definitely going to happen. I'm also going to talk about your reaction to when and if they do come back, because that is also what I'm more interested in for you and your own mental health and the relationship that you want to create in the future. But there are two times where I think, okay, yeah, of course, that always happens with these avoidants who do this particular thing. Okay, so before I get into this video, I want to tell you that I've got my workshop, How to Stop Losing Yourself in Love, which is coming up on the 14th of April. I'm so excited to share this deep dive into the research that I've been doing about how to stop losing yourself in love. The situation that I see over and over and over and over again, particularly when you have an avoidant partner, you are more likely to end up losing yourself. And if this is a pattern for you, I want to help you interrupt it so that you can create the relationships that you really want and feel loved and cherished and chosen in your relationships going forward. So if you'd like to come along to that, you can find out all the information about it in the link below. Okay, so what are these two situations in which an avoidant very predictably comes back? The first situation is when you've been kind of getting on quite well, and then suddenly there's an argument that they don't want to resolve and they just disappear and they say, right, that's it, I can't do this, I'm going. And they don't stick around for the next day or the next day, they just go. So it's a sudden, out of the blue, it feels like it's out of nowhere, suddenly they just bolt, right? That is quite predictably a time where they get this kind of whiplash effect where later on they think, why did I do that? Like, why did I suddenly do that? And they then get confused with themselves and they might come back and say, I'm really sorry, I don't know why I did that. And I've seen that happen so many times where you've had a really intense, like lovely connection, and then suddenly they give you this vague, strange reason for not wanting to be with you anymore, or for just suddenly not being able to do it. Or there's an argument where that argument is something that you've not experienced with them before maybe, and they just suddenly go, I can't do this anymore, and then they leave. That's very classic of an avoidant, to just go, I can't handle this is too much for me, I can't take the accountability, I don't want to resolve this with you, bye. And then they go away and they might spend weeks or months or maybe even longer, to be honest, thinking about that or not thinking about it, but suddenly they have this kind of impulse to go, I need to make that right, or I need to talk about that, or I need to like say something to this person because they feel bad in themselves. I've seen that happen loads of times. The other situation where they likely come back is, unfortunately, when you've moved on, when you're with someone else, you seem really happy, you're not thinking about them anymore, you've actually just got on with your life and you do not need them in the way that you needed them before. Those two situations are completely useless to you, because in the first situation, you've been so hurt, you've literally been shown by this person that they could suddenly, when they feel like it, leave you, which is not safe for a relationship, is it? You lose trust in them. Your trust has been eroded completely. And so them coming back and saying something like, oh, I'm really sorry, or they might not even say that, they might just say hello, or they might just say something to just check in with you or something like that. And that's useless to you because you want to have an intimate, close relationship with them, and them coming back to sort of like, get you to lick their wounds or whatever and say, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Like, it's useless to you because you've been hurt already. And the other situation that's useless to you is when you've moved on, because, you don't want them to come back when you've kind of invested a lot of time missing them and, wishing that it could have worked, and then having actually taken the brave step to move on with your life and them to say, I'm really sorry. But they're likely to do that because there's no danger to them. They are most likely to want to try and get close to you when the risk of them actually getting close to you is low. Okay, so at first they are really like I've got to get out because it's so intense, and because this person wants something from me, this person wants intimacy, this person wants me to talk about this thing that I don't want to talk about, so it's too intense for me, I'm going away. But when they notice that actually the risk of that is lower because you seem happier, they observe you from a distance or something, they see you on social media or whatever, and they think, oh, they look like they don't really care about me anymore, so the risk unconsciously is lower of you needing them to do anything for them. So these are quite predictable. I've seen this happen so many times before, especially that first one, that whiplash thing, where they just go, they freeze and they go, flight mode, right? Flight mode. That's what they do. Fight, flight, or freeze. They choose flight and they just go because they get overwhelmed in their nervous system. But that means they're left with this guilt and this shame about what they did and how they treated you. And if they are reflective avoidance, which some of them are, then they look and think, oh, why did I do that to that person? You know, I know a lot of avoidants who are like, why am I like this? I don't know why I'm like this. Like, I just do this thing, I shut down and I can't help it, and then they feel really bad and they want to say sorry. The time where like they might not come back if they do that is if it's just been so bad, if they've suddenly completely ripped it off and they have literally given you no explanation whatsoever, and they've just absolutely gone cold turkey and they know it will have brutally hurt you. The shame may eat them up so much that they can never look at you again and never talk to you again because they know how bad it is. If they know how badly they have hurt you, they are maybe less likely to come back if they're that type of avoidant who simply cannot ever take accountability, because there are avoidants who do and there are avoidants who don't, right? And so, like I say, the most predictable case is where they've something's happened, there's been an argument, you've actually been really close, you've been getting on really well, but then suddenly they go, I can't have this conversation, I can't do it. And it's like, whenever I hear about this, I'm like, okay, yeah, well, they'll come back. I've seen that happen so many times before. They'll say something to you, but the thing is, like I say, you have to be aware of how this has impacted you, because that inconsistency is so destabilizing. Even if they come back and they say sorry and they, you know, whatever it is that they're going to say, you have to know they're not going to do that again. They've already shown you that they can, and that erodes your trust a lot. It would take a long time for you to go, okay, I think they're here now. But then you've got them on a pedestal, you've got them staying on a pedestal, which puts you in this kind of lower, destabilizing, chasing energy, trying to prove yourself sort of thing, where you're more likely to abandon yourself. So that's no good for you. They need to come back having said, I have been to therapy, I'm still in therapy, this is what I know about myself, this is how I've impacted you, this is what I know I need to work on. I don't know why this, and this, but this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm trying to learn about myself. These are the things that I want to do and take forward, and I choose you, right? If they don't say that or anything similar, they're basically trying to say, I feel really bad. Can you help me feel less bad? And like, no, you have to take responsibility for your actions. You know, you have to, they sometimes, I've seen this a lot of times, like people say, I'm really sorry, but with no intention of actually making the relationship better. And that's just them trying to feel better about themselves. And that's no good for you. And it's a waste of your time. And it gives you that kind of hope and disappointment cycle where you feel like, oh my God, yes, they see my value. They see me. They want to say sorry. And then they don't do anything about it. And it puts you right back to where you were before, or worse. Sometimes the second time they leave is the worst, because it's like you really invested a huge amount of trust in order to trust them again. And if they do it again, you just feel really bad. So you have to be aware of like what you're actually looking for and like the consistency that you need, and not for them to be love bombing you and saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That has to feel genuine. Like they're not trying to get something from you. They're trying to explain something about themselves that they've learned and reflected on. There's a real difference. You know the difference of when someone's trying to get and when someone's trying to give. So I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like any more information about what I do, or if you'd like to come along to my workshop, How to Stop Losing Yourself in Love, you can find out all the information in the links below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.